Okay. Hi, my name is Sydney Elliott.
Yes.
I am a member of the Winchester High School National Honor Society. We would like to thank you for your willingness as your interview today. Our plans to include this full-length interviews as a part of the Winchester High School Department Veterans Day video, because we can't have a real one. We will also use short segments of each interview for our virtual Veterans Day program this year. The Winchester students will watch this program at school from their classrooms on Veterans Day. It will also be posted on the school's website. Okay, so we're going to start with the first question. Can you please tell me your name and your years of service in the military?
Good morning. My name is Miranda Joy Coltis Wood, and I graduated from this high school in 1954. And so then I went to Western Illinois University and graduated from there in 1958. And it was at that point that I joined the Air Force. And I ended up with 26 years and 1 month of active duty service.
Wow.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Why did you pick your branch of the military?
Well, I have to be honest about this and say that maybe when I was in high school and college, I didn't do very good research. And so when I was graduating from Western, I was a business major, and I taught accounting. And so I interviewed for a job in Monmouth. And when I got back to campus, I found out that, and I don't remember exactly how much they offered me, but it was less than a man who was also going to teach. And that was the point that I had not done very good research, but at that point in 1958, there were two pay scales, one for women and one for men. And so the military only had one pay scale, and there was no distinction between being a woman or a man. And I knew some people who had been in the military from Winchester, and so I checked around. The Air Force did not have a separate women's branch, and it was integrated, and so I chose to go into the Air Force. That's how I made the decision. So it was a financial decision, not knowing when I started, and looking around that there was a distinction between what you were being paid.
Right. What do you remember about your camp training or any boot camp training experiences, and what helped you get through them?
Well, when I was looking and went in the service in 1958, the Air Force was directly commissioning chaplains, lawyers, and women that had a degree. Of course, the other two people already had a degree to become a chaplain or a lawyer. And so I was commissioned as a second lieutenant from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, a month after I graduated from Western, and they had the information that I had graduated, then I was commissioned in the reserve and called to active duty. So I began my training at the Lackland in San Antonio in the summer, the hot summer of 1958, where we had to march at 6 o'clock in the morning because it was so hot. So that's where I began my service in 1958 in the summer at Lackland.
Awesome. During your years of service, are there a couple memories, memorable moments, people, or experience that you would like to be willing to share with us?
Well, when I was commissioned, I had no particular function that I was going to work in.
Right.
But my degree was basically in business and accounting. And so I was very fortunate at the time that that's exactly where I was selected to go. So I went to basic training. It was more like a mini ROTC out of college. So it was an officer training. But I went to technical training then in accounting and finance. Mm-hmm. And strange as it may seem, I ended up back at Chanute Air Force Base at Rantoul, north of Champaign. So that was my first assignment in accounting finance, and I worked in the paying and collecting with cash and all that sort. Mm-hmm. So I spent my 2 years there, and then I was assigned to Toul-Rosières Air Base in northeastern France as an accounting finance officer. So that's where I began my career overseas.
That's awesome.
Do you recall like the day that your service ended? Like what did you do in the days and the weeks and the months and the years afterwards?
Well, the interesting part about my career is I began my permanent duty, because I'd been to tech school for 3 months. I began my real career at Chanute Air Force Base, Illinois, and my final assignment was at Scott Air Force Base, also in Illinois. So I began and ended my career. But at the time we were at Scott, the last 8 years, I retired on the same day my Air Force Communications commander retired. So we had a parade with the band and the troops, and it was in July in 1984 down at Scott. So a lot of my family members could be there. And so that's when I ended my career, and we moved right back to Winchester, where we had worked on the home for several years.
Have like any of like the services like affected you personally or your life?
Well, anytime you work someplace for a long period of time, it affects your career. And the best part, not the best part, but one of the better parts, was I met my husband, and when we were assigned to Williams Air Force Base in Arizona. And I was the accounting finance officer, and he was the contracting officer. So I got the money and he spent it. And then I accounted for it, and we appeased Congress to say that we spent the money wisely.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to add to this interview?
Well, a lot of us military come back home, or else we settle here. And Emery and I have been very active in the community. I was a charter member of the VFW post here. As a matter of fact, we do a lot of community service. I was on the school board for a period of time. And then as a VFW, we ended up having 5 cookouts in the summer in order to raise money for the scholarships at Winchester High School. And so a lot of the military around here, first of all, learned a skill or something in the military. And even though they might have stayed to retire, they learned things that enabled them to, get a job when they got out. And we have served the community. And so I also am a member of a veterans burial team that do ceremonial burials at veterans funerals. And so we do a lot of community service. And so we wish all you high school students a lot of success in what you're going to do when you leave here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.